Okay, we discuss the honey trap and break it down into two components. There is the honey trap that involves uh, the criminal elements in life, but people often forget that there's a honey trap that involves system mans. Yeah, so you have to make sure you don't choose sides. Yeah, and it's Christ that showed me that. One day I was walking down the street, yeah, and I saw police had been called to deal with the criminal element in society. So as they was there talking to these youths and that, um, trying to give them the lecture or caution and that, I came into the scene. Yeah. Now I saw what was going on, and as soon as I arrived, the youth them stopped and the policeman stopped, and they both looked at me. At that moment, Christ told me, look and see. So that's when I got it. Yeah. You don't choose sides. Yeah. Because we're all victims of life. The system mans sometimes get victimized, and the criminal types, majority of them got victimized. No one would choose crime, a life of crime, if they had a choice. And no one would choose to be corrupt if they had a choice. So the same forces that lead them to that life of crime, either way, because corruption is a form of crime. Corruption is a crime, but sometimes it's not. There's two-tier corruption. If we deal with corruption properly, we'll understand that it's a two-tier system. There's corruption that's necessary. The example I like to use is, you see, in the capitalist structure that we're living in, it's frowned upon for you to give away free food. Even if you're in a restaurant and you're finished with the food for the day, you're still instructed to throw it in the bin, when you could go out there and give it to your fellow man. But they see that as a corruption to the system if you did that. So if you're corrupt to the system by doing that, that is a necessary corruption, and is humane to feed your brother when he can't eat none. Cannot be called corruption, but to the system that we have, it's exactly that. Yeah, it brings the system into disrepute. Yeah, it messes things up if you just give away shit for free. So people who are doing that are corrupt to the system. They're not corrupt to humanity, but they're corrupt to the system. That's one level of corruption. Then there's unnecessary corruption, where somebody just favors one side, picks a side, and chooses to put other people down for his affiliations, his or her affiliations. That their corruption is wrong. So for us to deal with corruption in today's age, this wasn't really going to be a talk about corruption, but it is now anyway. For us to deal with corruption in this day and age, we have to understand that it comes in two types, two components. All right. So once we understand that, then we know where to put most of our effort. Now, the second tier corruption, which involves taking sides, when the system takes side, or when gangsters take side, yeah, that their corruption, we must fight against. It leads to inhumane things, because if the system takes side and chooses to defend one element of society and it neglects the other, then you're going to have criminality developing in in the neglected side. And that's what leads to the other two-tier corruption system that's in the criminal fraternity. There's corruption that comes from the system being unfair. They've taken sides and they're blocking all your avenues, so you've got no other way but to turn to criminality. Then there's criminality that is just corrupt. You don't need, yeah, you just thief anyway, yeah, just for the buzz, yeah. You're somebody who's a kleptomaniac that's addicted to just thieving. You've got your own car, but you thief another man's car because you just don't want him to have, yeah. These are two different types of corruption. There's also corruption in the criminal fraternity, but there's also a necessity in the corruption there. There's two-tier corruption there too. So the corruption I'm dealing with in this video involves the higher level corruption, which is not necessary. Honey traps. Yeah. That's why they choose sides, honey traps. Yeah. That's when you have a female that you like, you're either a policeman or a gangster, and she starts to, when she knows that you're a man of influence, she starts to use your influence to make you attack others, and you do exactly that. In scripture, there's many instances where that's happened. That's how they took the head of John the Baptist off his back. Yeah. So it was because of a woman that wanted that, you know, and the system was corrupt enough to give her that. So when you're dealing with honey traps, yeah, you have to make sure that you understand that it's not just going to be gangsters necessarily that come to harass you. It could also be system man, policeman. Okay, so that's what I wanted to touch on, just to let you know that honey traps do involve both sides, and you can't choose sides. You can't choose sides because there's two-tier corruption on both sides. Yeah. When I was at uni at that, yeah, I would smoke herbs, yeah, just to get through the monotony and boredom at times. Yeah, most people at uni would be smoking or snorting. You're gonna need mans who can give you that. Even system man, when they're having parties and they're wilding out, they like to have a little smoke or a snort to line it up. You're gonna need not that I'm promoting criminality. They've legalized some of that now in some states, in some countries. So you have to know why you don't choose sides, why you don't say these ones are gangsters so they're all bad. You have to be discerning. There was a thief on either side of Christ when he died. One of them was unrepentant, didn't really need to do that life. He went straight to hell. The crows peck out his eyes. The other one was like, life became like that, so I had to do that one. And that one, Jesus Christ said, you be with me when I resurrect on the right hand side. So basically, I was involved in corruption that involves the system, and it's when a woman has a system man, yeah, often she also has a gangster type, and she corrupts both of them. Sometimes they don't know about each other. She's playing a game, right? So she just chooses to set upon you whichever one works at the time. Yeah. So I was involved in that, and then when you think about how that works, when you're a victim of demonic targeting, somebody can just victimize you from you thinking about being with a girl. They see you thinking about being with a girl, they call the police or a gangster type to turn up. Just you thinking without you actually interacting with a woman. Yeah. So be very careful out there as targeted persons, because there are many reasons to target us. Yeah. And the corruption that comes from honey traps is basically the oldest type and the most common one.